Hello, hello, hello. Welcome in. I'm a little messed up here. Little messed up with my desk and stuff, but welcome in everybody. How's everybody doing tonight? Hopefully you guys are having a great Halloween. Happy Halloween. Yeah, I made this. It'll be up for one night and then we'll be back to our regular sparkled background. But welcome in, welcome in, welcome in everybody. It's good to see you guys. It's good to see everybody. So we are going to be talking Delphi this evening. So hopefully you guys are kind of in the know of what the case is about. But if you're not, that's all right. That's all right. We'll help you out. We'll help you out. So how's everybody doing? And if you didn't watch our first live, we did do a live on the second, or I don't know if you call it the second channel, other channel, but Unfiltered with Tanya. We did a live over there today. More relaxed live. Hey, Mary Beth. Hey, Catherine. Welcome in. Ladybug's here. It's good to see you guys. Cat's Life. You guys are all here. Whole crew. Hey, Mr. Rosebud. Hey, Captain Concha. My dog, every time her claw clicks, it gets my attention. I was reading the chat. I'm just reading your guys' chat. Favorite candy. I'm trying to think of mine. I love all candy. I could live off candy. I think I have lived off candy actually the last 10 years of my life, probably. Hey, Lori. It's good to see you guys. Hey, Sirius. It's been warm in Ohio. Like, there's something with the climate. It's every like year. I noticed that it stays warmer a little bit longer. I don't know. Sweet one, I did. I went over, I got checked. She said it doesn't look to appear to be anything too serious, but if my numbers still continue to stay the same way, definitely go to the emergency room. If they stay in the highs, like the 150s, 140s. So I'm gonna keep checking it, and I'm gonna check it tomorrow before I take my medication and then afterwards. So thanks for checking on me. I was gonna let you guys know. Thank you though. I have high blood pressure, if anyone's wondering, and it's been really high lately. And it could be stress, but that's what she said. It could be, I mean, this time of year gets a little stressful, I guess. Even if you don't think about it, it's there. Hey, Margot. I am feeling pretty good. I'm feeling pretty good. Hey, Ashley. Welcome in, everyone. Oh, someone wants to drink my freaking urine again. I don't know why people want to do that. But I'll sell it to you if you want me to. I mean, really, people bottle up their farts all the time and sell them. Could you imagine? Can you imagine that? Like, I make a storefront. Oh my gosh. It's like Dolly soaps. Titanium's urine. They always want to say something about the urine. That skeleton's really cool, isn't it? I mean, he's making me want to dance. I saw it today on Canva and I was like, this is cute. So I just moved him over to the side. And hey, Aries. Hey, Stephanie. Hey, Faith. If I missed you, I'm sorry. They didn't tell me my blood pressure. She didn't have a cuff, or she didn't have a machine. She was going to have me. She told me I could go down to the other pharmacy, but if I went, they're not very good there. It's Ladybug. You can block them too. If you ever see anybody that's like trolls, block them. Yeah, block them. Block away. You got snow today, Cat's Life? Wow. Choose your drink. What would I drink? I don't know. Hot chocolate. I'm confused. I'm confused. That's what she said. Stress can do it, and I hold trauma inside. I hold it in there. It just stays and it won't come out as much as I want it to. It just won't come out. And so I need to work on that, being able to relax more. And it's my problem. That's a me problem. Oh, I thought she was about to one out. She's just switching it up. 70, it's 65 here, but it was 73 today. I said 73 high. I think it was actually warmer than that. Do you want to go out there? Might be her time to go to the bathroom or something. Hey, Chai. Welcome in. Hey, Reba. I saw your pictures. They were cute. They were cute. I saw you. Yeah. Trolling Kim. She was like, go to the merch. I was like, oh my lordy. Hey, Ludwig. Could you imagine though? Imagine this. Imagine this. I go into the emergency room 2 days ago, right? Go in there and I'm like, I'm the best patient you're ever going to have. You know, I have like a piece of hair sticking up, but sorry. I'm like, I'm the best patient you're going to have. Like, there's nothing wrong with me. Like, I'm here just because my dentist pricked her finger on the needle that she used in my mouth. And for, safety precaution, she wants me to come have my blood drawn. I'm not hurt or anything, and it all came back negative and all that stuff. But could you imagine I walk in 2 days later, blood pressure's through the roof, and I'm like, well, now I got a problem. They were so sweet though. They were so nice there at this hospital. Like, I was like, wow. And it's brand new. Like, they just did it within the last few years. Hey, DM. Hey, Cat's Life. I don't know if I even said hi, Cat's Life. I said something to you though. Your first day CPR? AED trained. Defibrillator. Okay. Well, I don't have a do not resuscitate on my wrist. Nobody's got control of my life. My mom had one, and I don't know why. We don't know. Me and my brother don't know. The classic one, welcome in. Thank you, Mary Beth. Look at that. Judy Holiday. Get on in here. Oh, thanks, Aries. I just need maybe it's because we didn't take our vacation this year. I don't know. All I know is I have this walking pad here and I meditated today. I have not done that in forever, but my dog, sometimes she drives me up a wall. I love her to pieces. She's my baby. I love her, but she's literally with me all the time, everywhere I go, no matter what. She's like, I'm watching you all the time. So I locked her out today. And I thought she was going to die, like, out there. She was just sitting by the door. Made me feel bad. But I knew she wouldn't sit in here for me to like meditate. She would be on top of me, wanting to, sit on the yoga pad too. Like, I need to get her own yoga pad. You only got 10 trick-or-treaters tonight? That sucks. Did anyone else get any? I know towards the end of like trick-or-treating around my mom's, there was never anybody. And it was like, what happened? Like, people just didn't go out like they used to. But we had it where the fire trucks we lived on a state route. So the fire trucks would come and they would block off the road. I forget, like they just have to reroute down, I think it was like Owl Creek or something like that. But they would do that. They would have like these trucks there, fire trucks, and they would block it off. And it was so cool because we could run and have fun. We knew not to run, like, we knew to stay where the fire trucks were, in the middle of the fire trucks, but we could, be kids and trick or treat and not have to worry about, being hit or anything. Man, you know what? I wonder if parents aren't taking kids out because they know how much candy costs and they're afraid there's not going to be a lot of people that want to give it out. I mean, because I wouldn't want to. That stuff's expensive. I went to I think it was Target, and I was going to get a bag for Vincent to put in like his sweetest gift. And good thing I got the smaller bag. This bag was like $26. It was like maybe 5 pounds, but still $26. But thanks for listening to me babble on. Thanks for listening to me babble on. We'll go ahead and we'll get started with tonight's live. This little guy just keeps you entertained. It's like the cat on Granny's watching video. She better tell me how she does that cat. I need to know. It relaxes me. It does. It relaxes me when I'm in there. Like if I'm watching, I'll just stare at the screen for like for 30 minutes or something before I realize what I'm doing. But I'm so glad that you guys are all here. I really am. If you guys don't mind just taking a second, hitting the like button, it does really help the channel. Helps me actually, it helps your girl. Let's be real. Helps me, helps channel, helps algorithm. And we love it whenever we can do that. We're going to talk about, like I said, the unalivings of Abby and Libby. And let me see, I'm going to share this with you first. Okay. And this little guy will just be dancing there for a minute. But the murders of Abby Williams and Liberty German, also known as the Delphi Murders, occurred on February 14th, 2017, in Delphi, Indiana. I've been there once before. I think a lot of you guys know that, but we went when we were getting a remodel done. It's a cute, quaint town, just like every little town in America. I mean, really, it is. But their bodies were discovered near the Monon High Bridge Trail, part of Delphi's Historic Trails, after the girls had disappeared from that trail the previous day. So they were supposed to be back to be picked up at a certain time, and they didn't show. And that's when everybody kind of went into panic and realized that there's something wrong. They're not answering the phone. They're not, we're calling out. They're not answering us. Now, I wonder if Libby's phone rang, if it was on silent or if it wasn't on silent. Normally, when you're like 14, I would feel like your phone wouldn't be on silent. Like you would want to know all the calls you're getting. So I don't know. With the phone ringing like that, you think you would take the phone. I don't know. I still don't know why the phone was left, but it was left. On October 26, 2022, a suspect was taken into custody, and that was Richard Allen of Delphi. He worked at the local CVS and, by all accounts, lived a mediocre life. Just regular old life. Had a wife, has a daughter. His daughter looks a lot like Liberty in a way, I feel like. A lot of people say that. But yeah, I think that they do look a lot alike. I was reading this little paragraph here. And so I didn't know this, but their names of Abby and Libby, it's Abigail Joyce Williams and Liberty Rose Lynn German. Very pretty. Very pretty names. Very sad what happened to these girls, So Vinnie Politan, hopefully he's going to redeem himself with Delphi case, because he's been really doing some weird stuff with, Sebastian Rogers case. But they've been doing like deep dives like every night, or they'll do like, what happened that day, and they do premieres. So they premiered, it's still on right now. So we're going to watch some of this, and we'll stop and we'll like kind of commentate. But today around 4:00, the state rested its case. So the state feels confident that they proved beyond a reasonable doubt that Richard Allen is the bridge guy. Their last witness was number 40 for the state, and he believed that the bridge guy and the calls that he had listened to, which were like 700 hours worth of calls, were the same person. That was his opinion. They also played confessions. That's what they stopped with. They played confessions of Richard Allen actually saying the words, himself. So a lot of people are saying that it sounds like he's doing it out of like he's not really guilty, but he's just doing it because his brain he's not in a good mental state. Me personally, I don't know. I didn't hear the calls. I hate that. I hate that for us. You know, I really, 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 really do. So now it's the defense's turn. They've already called their first two witnesses. I was listening to a couple different things about what they said. It wasn't really anything too important. It just kind of had to do with the timeline. But one of the ladies was on the bridge that day. So I don't know. I wonder what else the defense has. They're going to have to come in swinging. They're going to need some better witnesses, in my opinion. So, like I said, tonight, Vinny broke it all down, and we'll watch him. And then I'll pause as we need to. I'm just like, I am so confused on this case. Like I don't know. I feel like I need a redo, you know? It's just so much. Like, I really want justice for Abby and Libby. And I really hope that this is the right person, you know? And I hope that after this trial is over, maybe Judge Gall will do something to where we can have transcripts at least, or maybe they are record. I mean, they do record, so maybe they can give us recordings, audio, something. I would even take audio at this point. So let's see what old Vinny has to say.
Politan, the subject of my investigation is the Delphi Murders, a brutal crime in a small town in Indiana involving two young girls, best friends, who had their throats slashed. Prosecutors say it was a local CVS worker who did it, but the defense says it was a ritualistic killing by a group of Odinists. Here's the story.
The defense the defense isn't allowed to bring in that story though, right? Odinist? I thought they weren't allowed.
It was a mystery that tortured two families, terrified a small community, and touched the world. The murders of two young girls, Abby Williams and Libby German. The case became known as the Delphi Murders, the setting a small Indiana town of just under 3,000 people. From the beginning, investigators suspected it was someone local, which made it even more difficult for everyone in this small community. It all happened on February 13th, 2017, when Libby and Abby went hiking. The two teenagers were good friends and had the day off from school. The weather was unseasonably warm, but when Libby and Abby did not show up for their ride home, their families began to worry, and they began to search. Then the next day, the bodies of the two girls were found, both victims of murder. Then over the course of the next 5 years, there were no answers, no arrests, just a series of disjointed clues, like two sketches that looked absolutely nothing alike, a video of the suspected killer, and a short audio recording of his voice. Then, finally, an arrest. A local CVS worker named Richard Allen, who told investigators early on that he was there that day. Allen denies all the allegations, and the defense says it was actually a ritualistic killing by a group of Odinists. Richard Allen is now on trial, but many are wondering if the right man has been arrested.
So there's different types of evidence in a case. There's circumstantial evidence, pieces of evidence that provide circumstances that point towards a killer, a suspect.
That's all we've got.
Then there's direct evidence, which can be an eyewitness who sees someone commit the actual crime, a videotape of the crime, or a confession is also considered direct evidence. Now, the first time we came across a confession in this case, or information related to a confession, was from a state filing from June of 2023. Let's take a look at it. And it really kind of struck me like, oh, okay, they've got something here. On April 3rd, 2023, Richard Allen made a phone call to his wife, Kathy Allen. In that phone call, Richard Allen admits several times that he killed Abby and Libby. His wife, Kathy Allen, ends the phone call abruptly. First time I read that, I was like, okay, well, they've got a confession. Direct evidence. He's admitting that he did it. Why would he admit he did it if he didn't actually do it? But then comes the rest of the story, and obviously there's much more to this story, and there are actually more alleged confessions. But that brings me to our first question, and it's about the confessions. Are Richard Allen's confessions trustworthy? We know there is such thing as a false confession. I've witnessed it firsthand here at Courttv and one of the big trials that we covered. So with us to discuss this, Courttv senior producer Barbara McDonald, who is on the ground in Indiana, and false confessions expert who's been in more than 400 cases as a consultant and witness, including the case I was talking about, the case against Skylar Richardson. Alan Hirsch is with us. You can find him at truthaboutfalseconfessions.com. Thank you both for being here. Barbara, let me begin with you. Give us some idea about these plural confessions that we're talking about. Are they detailed? Are they recorded? When are they taking place?
So there are alleged to be 61 of these confessions that all happened months into Richard Allen's solitary confinement in a maximum security prison after his arrest in October of 22. These all happened in the following April, May, and June time period. It was after he had been diagnosed as being psychotic. It was after he received a large box containing hundreds of pages of discovery in the case, and he had already met with his attorneys and had conversations about the case and presumably the facts of the case. And it was during the time that he was being treated by a prison psychologist who has admitted on the stand that she was listening to true crime podcasts and YouTube shows about the case. She was participating in chat groups about the case, and she was sharing some of what she learned from those experiences with Richard Allen while he was behind bars. Most of the confessions that we have heard about so far have been pretty vague. One did contain a little more detail, including the detail that he was scared by a van that had arrived in the area, and that's when he decided to no longer sexually assault these girls, but to kill them and then flee the scene. But we have not heard any of those recordings yet.
The recordings have not been played yet. Okay, so let's take a look at some of this. And Alan, I just want to lay out a few more facts for you. Then I want to hear what you have to say about this. This is from a reporter's notebook. Former and current Department of Correction employee witness, the former warden, John Gallipo, testified that he was fired or let go from his position as a warden, but testified that Richard Allen, the defendant, sent him a note in March or April of 2023 saying he killed the girls, but no details there. Also,
do you think that somebody, I mean, there's someone in solitary confinement. Do you think someone would say that just to see if they can get a reaction out of somebody, like to see what the reaction would maybe be? Maybe he thought it would be a good reaction because he was like, you know, playing nice, like saying stuff, and he thought maybe if he did that, he would get something in return. I don't know. This is just so crazy to me that you would just say, all you would say is, I killed the girls. That's it.
Former and current Department of Correction employee witnesses, 7 of the correctional guards from Westville, suicide companions for Richard Allen, observed and logged everything he said and did. 6 Westville guards said Richard Allen gave generic confessions like, I killed Abby and Libby. 1 guard said that Allen said he committed the murders with a box cutter he stole from CVS and tossed it in the trash there. That same guard was fired for lying on his application. 1 guard from another correctional facility heard Allen say that he killed Abby and Libby. The guard admitted on the stand that his written report was less detailed than what he told investigators. Alan Hirsch, how do we determine whether or not a confession or confessions are trustworthy?
Well, let's start with some really important things you said at the outset. You said, why would someone confess to a crime if he didn't commit it? And the answer is many, many reasons. And that's true of confessions that are like this one, if it's false, voluntary. He didn't confess to guilt in the course of a withering interrogation, but he himself came forward and said, I did it. And you think, why in the world would someone do that? Well, first, let's just, as an empirical fact, it happens all the time. In notorious crime, particularly in notorious crimes, it's very common for people to come forward and claim they did it when they didn't, and for all kinds of reasons. So let's start with that. You said also that confessions are one type of evidence, and that's exactly right. And the biggest contribution I could make to this discussion is if I could help people understand that it is an overvalued type of evidence. What I would want to know in this case, apart from all of the circumstances surrounding the confession, is about the objective evidence, the physical evidence. My understanding is DNA testing does not implicate Mr. Allen. I understand there is other evidence, possibly you alluded to this videotape and the voice of the actual culprit. I would hope there is careful analysis of whether Mr. Allen is the person in that videotape and if it's his voice that we hear. But to take at face value 60 alleged confessions by someone who has a clear mental health history would be a big mistake. And I think Barbara made clear one reason it would be a mistake. The prosecution will no doubt point to accurate details in the confession. We find that in numerous cases of proven false confessions that they had accurate details. And in her account, you can easily understand why. You had someone familiar with the case who was sharing details with him. You also had several interrogations of him by law enforcement. So it's not shocking if he gave accurate details, even if he was no more involved than you or I.
So, Barbara, at this point of where we are in the trial, is there any indication from prosecutors through the way they're questioning and the way information is coming out that he provided details that only the killer would know, things that were held back and that no one knew? Because that's the traditional way we do it, right? That's why law enforcement always tells us we don't put everything out there, because in high-profile cases like this, we can get people coming forward who didn't commit the crime, right? Was anything held back, or was everything in those boxes of discovery that were provided before these alleged confessions?
The prosecution hasn't put an exclamation point on whatever their point is about the information only the killer would know. Apparently this van, they feel, is information that perhaps only the killer would know, and as well as perhaps his intent to sexually assault the girls, although they were not sexually assaulted. There was no evidence.
How did he know it was a van per se? I thought he said he heard a car. So he must have saw the van.
Evidence found of that. But regarding the van, this is information I've known for several years. I've talked to locals who say it was well known in the local community that this resident who lived across the creek probably came home around the time that this was going on and could have spooked somebody. It's also a theory that I've heard from law enforcement several years ago. So that very well could have been contained in that discovery. Richard Allen lived and worked in this community. He could have heard it from a number of places.
All right, Alan Hirsch, we're going to bring you back as we get more details from court as they come out each day. I hope you'll come back on. Thank you so much. Coming up next, why was Richard Allen?
Well, he did say it though. I mean, he did say it. No one made him say that. He said a van, pulled up and it scared him. And that's why he didn't essay the victims, which I don't think he intended to essay Abby.
These conditions before trial.
Richard Allen, you child murderer! Why did you do it? Shame on you!
JLR.
Shame on you, Richard! You're going to prison for the rest of your life! Shame on you, Richard Allen!
What's JLR say now? What's he saying now? What does JLR think of this case? I know he's been covering it. Has he changed his mind? Does he still think you're going to prison for the rest of your life? I'm just curious. I mean, he also said Buster was going to go to prison for the rest of his life, so.
We are in Georgia for the trial of
Like it's supposed to be so serious, and you hear JLR, and if you know it, you know. And so you have to like it makes me giggle. Gives me the giggle. Because it's just he's an idiot.
The two girls were reported missing on Monday, February 13th. The bodies were discovered about 12:15 on the 14th in the woods just east of town here by volunteers that helped in the search of the children after they were reported missing to the Carroll County Sheriff's Department.
To the killer, who may be in this room. We believe you are hiding in plain sight, and you want to know what we know. And one day, you will. A question to you. What will those closest to you think of when they find out that you brutally murdered two little girls? Two children. Only a coward would do such a thing.
There are many dates in a lifetime that you're going to remember. The date your children are born, the date you're married, the date you buy your first house, the date Abby and Libby went missing. One of those dates was last Friday, October 28, 2022. At that time, we'd gathered evidence to formulate a PC that was submitted to the court, and the judge did find probable cause for arrest of Richard Allen. He's been charged with 2 counts of murder for the murder of Abigail Williams and Liberty German.
Today is not a day to celebrate. But the arrest of Richard M. Allen of Delphi on 2 counts of murder is sure a major step in leading to the conclusion of this long-term and complex investigation.
Yeah, there were a couple phases of this story and this investigation. And it really began like many people asking, would this case ever be solved?
Yeah.
Would anyone ever be arrested for this murder? And then once someone was, a lot of things have happened here that are very unusual and very different than.
Well, I'm going to say this before. I mean, even before now, even before the Odinist stuff came out, I've been following this case since it happened. They dropped a picture in 2017 of Bridge Guy, and then in 2019 they dropped another picture, and it was a completely different person. So you start questioning your sanity. You're like, what's going on here? You know, and then they finally come out and they say, merge them together, and that's who you got. That still don't make no damn sense to me. I've never heard that in any other case. Has anyone else heard of 2 completely different composite sketches and then them saying merge them together? I've never heard it, but I mean, it could have happened. It could have happened.
Other cases that we've covered through the years. And it begins with the defendant, Richard Allen, and where he's been housed since his arrest.
Yeah, that's true.
Usually you get arrested for murder, you end up in jail waiting for your trial. But that's not the case here. He was actually placed into a prison, a correctional facility, awaiting trial with people who've been convicted of their crimes. Not people before their trials.
But he was
And then
segregated.
The testimony of the warden of the correctional facility was really interesting. John Gallipo, the former warden, said that Richard Allen was in the suicide watch cell the entire time he was at Westville, 13 months.
Yeah,
the
segregation.
cell that Allen was held in is in a unit for offenders who get in trouble. Most are there for just a few days or a few weeks. The warden testified he's never seen anyone held in there that long.
Wow, you don't want that. Well, it says held for the offenders who get in trouble. So these are offenders that are probably lifers, and they're getting in trouble because they don't give a fudge. So why would they care to go down there and try to unalive Richard Allen? Do you know what I mean? It's not like when you're in jail, everybody's pretty cool and kosher because they're getting out in a few days.
17 months.
17 months, wow.
And he's not convicted. 13 months he was held there, which brings up.
But is there a big difference between a segregation in a prison and segregation in a jail? I mean, is there? Because both places you're just segregated. You're just put away from other inmates. So, I mean, I don't know.
Us to our next question, which
Oh,
is
thank you, Cheryl.
why? Why was Richard Allen kept in
Thank
these
you.
conditions in
Jamie's
prison for
Cowboys.
13 months,
Hey, true friend.
awaiting his trial? Again, while you're waiting for your trial, regardless of what the evidence is or will be, you are still presumed innocent. Still with me, Courttv senior producer Barbara McDonald, and joining me now, criminal defense attorney and host of the Defense Diaries podcast, Bob Motta, is with us.
There's old Bob.
Thank you both. I want to put a few more details into this conversation before I get a take from both of you. Dr. Monica Walla, the prison psychologist, testifying that Richard Allen was kept alone in a small cell. The lights were never turned off. There was video monitoring
The lights are never turned off in jail or prisons.
him constantly. And Richard Allen was in solitary confinement
That's
for
prisons or jails.
13 months. Inmates are meant to be in solitary confinement for a maximum of 30 days.
Well, we all know that
Then I've
doesn't
got
happen.
more testimony from John Gallipo, the former warden, saying that Allen was allowed to shower 3 times a week, provided 3 sets of clothing, had access to tablets, was allowed recreation time 5 days a week in an indoor room. Allen was quiet for the first month at the prison and began acting erratically. He began washing his face in the toilet, using the bathroom in his cell, tearing up mail, and eating paper. All right. Bob Motta, let me...
Is that a mental break or is that calculated? You know, I don't know. I think that if I was locked in a room by myself for 17 months, I wouldn't even last that long. I would go insane. I mean, to be truthful, I would go absolutely bonkers. I wouldn't be a person anymore. Like I would be like a shell of a person. Really, he's doing a lot better than what I would be doing if I was in, segregated from everybody. Now I mean, he still had visitations with his wife and stuff. So I don't know how many times a week he got those, but to be segregated like that away from everybody, that would be extremely hard. Extremely hard in a jail or in a prison. But at least in a jail, I feel like if there are other people around you, I don't know. I don't know. Jails just seem like they're a little more not relaxed, but kind of relaxed, but not relaxed.
Start with you. How unusual is it before a trial for an inmate to be in these conditions?
Actually, I want to say one more thing. But if you're in segregation and you waive your speedy trial, when you waive your speedy trial, you kind of know that you're going to stay in segregation because, and I think that's what he did. So.
Very. It doesn't happen. I mean, jail is where pretrial detainees are kept typically. In terms of him being in solitary for 13 months, Vinny.
Oh, 13,
I've
sorry.
never heard of anything like it.
I said
ever.
17.
It's unthinkable.
Yeah, Barbara McDonald, from the testimony, was there any explanation as to why Richard Allen
Keep him safe?
Was kept in these conditions?
Just that there was a safekeeping order right after his arrest. The then sheriff of Carroll County filed a motion with the court asking for this safekeeping order, saying they didn't think they could protect him at the Carroll County jail.
It's
and
small.
so
I
the
can see
judge
that.
at the time approved that, sending Richard Allen to the Department of Corrections. And then that judge recused himself. And so Richard Allen at that point had no attorneys. There was no judge on the case until the Supreme Court came in and appointed a special judge. And then she had to appoint public defenders to represent him. So there was a period of weeks there where he had nobody. And he even had mentioned to this prison psychologist, he didn't even know who to talk to about his case. She was the only one who was communicating with him on a regular basis.
Okay, I want to take a listen to William Librato, who was at one point for a short while Richard Allen's attorney, here talking about some of this.
Some of the people that live in Delphi were very brazen about their odinistic beliefs on their Facebook pages and other social media accounts, including the sergeant who was in charge of keeping Mr. Allen safe in Westville. It's real.
All right, Bob, do you have a theory as to why he was kept in these conditions?
Me? Yeah, I have a theory. So we viewed 2 interviews with Rick Allen with law enforcement when they interviewed him on the 13th of October and then on the 26th of October, which is the day that he turned out being arrested. And he held up, and they used the Reed technique on him hardcore. Jerry Holman, the lieutenant, he absolutely went at him as hard as he could. And Allen never cracked. He never wavered. And I think at that point in time, and the last thing that Holman said on the stand was very interesting to me as an attorney. He said, at that point, we thought we had enough for probable cause to arrest him. And you know, Vinny, the probable cause is a far cry from beyond a reasonable doubt, which meant they knew they needed more evidence. And when they knew that they couldn't crack him, down the pike comes Westville Prison. I mean, it was exactly what they needed to do. They needed to do something to get him to break, because ultimately they needed these confessions. They needed them.
Barbara McDonald, how is this playing the connection between the confessions and the conditions, right? The conditions he's being kept in, and when and how these confessions begin to happen?
Even the warden admitted that in his 28-year career in law enforcement, he had never seen anyone subjected to the treatment that Richard Allen was. He did try to say at times that Richard Allen was treated like any other inmate, or even better. But he also said that out of the 3,000 inmates housed at Westville, there are only 4 cells in that entire prison that were like the one that Richard Allen was in, and Richard Allen was in it for 13 months.
Wow. Barbara McDonald, Bob Mata, thank you. All right, more to get to. I'm Vinny Politan. We'll keep digging for answers as the investigation continues. I'm Vinny Politan. We continue our investigation of the Delphi murders, a case that is so heartbreaking. 2 young girls enjoying a day off from school ended up brutally murdered in the woods. Locals all wondering how this could happen, but then it took 5 years to solve. And some believe this case still has not actually been solved. Here's the story.
Teenagers Abby Williams and Libby German were best friends living in the small rural community of Delphi, Indiana. On February 13th, 2017, the girls had a day off from school, so they decided to go on an outdoor adventure. They were dropped off near the Monon High Bridge, and while on that bridge, Libby recorded a man with her phone uttering the words, "Down the hill." It was down the hill where Libby and Abby would be murdered. Prosecutors say the man on the bridge is responsible, and that man is Richard Allen. But Allen and his attorneys say prosecutors have it all wrong. They say Allen is innocent, and it was someone else on the bridge that day who took the lives of these 2 innocent girls. What is the truth, and will Abby and Libby get justice?
An important part of all of this in trying to determine what happened and how it happened is the crime scene itself and the 2 victims, these 2 young girls, and what happened to them and what was discovered through the course of the autopsies. Take a look. This is Dr. Roland Kaur, forensic pathologist, testified. He's someone who performed the autopsies found no signs of sexual assault on either teenager. Abby had a 2-inch laceration across her neck that damaged the left jugular vein. Libby had between 3 and 5 wounds on her neck. Also testified that the girls may have been alive for 5 to 10 minutes after the infliction of their respective wounds. You know, this is incredibly tragic, incredibly sad about what happened to Abby and Libby and what they went through that day. And that brings me to our next question, which is about the 2 victims, the 2 girls. Who was killed first?
Abby, I think. Thank you,
I think it's an
Doodlebug.
important question because it
Thank
tells us
you.
part of the story of what happened to them and how it happened. But can we answer this question, who was killed first? With me now, retired forensic pathologist, Dr. Michelle Dupree, and criminal defense attorney, podcaster Bob Motta, who is there in Indiana. I want to go through some of the information that we've gotten relative to the crime scene, in addition to what's found at the autopsy. Major Patrick Cicero, LaPorte County Sheriff's Office, testified.
Did y'all know that Bob Motta's dad was like one of the officers, I think, like that worked the Gary, what's his name? The guy that killed all the little boys and dressed up as a clown? That guy. His dad worked that case. That's how he got into all this. Well, I mean, he's a defense attorney too, but he got big because he would like mention that who his dad was. I mean, in my opinion.
That the files.
Gacy, yeah, that's who it is. I couldn't think. Over here on, what was it? John Gacy? I'm trying to get the first name now.
Were reviewed. The photos were also reviewed for analysis. There was blood.
I mean, he put him under. I'm sorry, but he put him under the floorboards, and it smelled so bad. And his mom lived in there. Like, what? It's cool, Mom. Just let me get some potpourri.
Blood on Libby's foot, consistent with walking
Thank
through
you, John
blood.
Wayne Gacy. That's what it was.
There was blood on a tree that was consistent with a transfer stain that was left behind from another object touching the tree.
Now, in my opinion, I think that transfer could have been Libby walking, and then she like grabbed on, or like grabbed on or slid down the tree somehow, you know, or her hand, because they did say that there were pools of like, you know, BLOD.
Spatter on the tree indicated that Libby was attacked near the tree. There was a large pool of blood by the tree that indicates Libby died leaning against the tree and then was dragged 20 feet to where her body was found. The dilution of blood on Libby's face going towards her right ear was consistent with a tear. Dr. Michelle Dupree, what are your thoughts about what the forensic pathologist testified about and what the Major Cicero found there? Michelle, and can we start with the tear?
I think that it sounds like he's accurate. I think those are all very valid assumptions. The tear, I'm not surprised. I think that they were both probably alive. I don't know about 10 minutes, but probably for at least 5 minutes. It also sounds like she was killed there near the tree because of the blood spatter and the blood that was pooling there. The transfer stain would certainly support that as well.
Bob Motta, what is the story that you're hearing being told about the scene and what happened to the girls? And does it reveal to you any story about who was killed first?
I think the closest thing that we've heard that may give us some kind of hint as to who may have been killed first was the fact that that they testified that when Abby was killed, that General or Major Cicero believed that she was clothed. because there was no blood anywhere on her torso. There was no blood on her hands at all. And he had opined that he thought that she was actually wearing the clothes that she had on, which we all know were Libby's at the time that she was killed, which would somewhat suggest that Libby had been stripped down, and it may have been that she was the first victim, in light of the fact that Abby is then subsequently dressed in Libby's clothes, which were a larger size, which to me means that theoretically they'd be easier to get on. So, but I mean, in terms of really knowing, it's hard.
He could have made Libby undress. I'm only saying Abby first because I think that Libby was like the main target, you know, in my opinion. But maybe he had her undress so that she wouldn't run away. Like, you know, that happens where, like, you know, you're in the nude so people feel like they won't run.
Hard to know. And it's just, those are hard days in court.
Sad.
You know, those are really, really tough days in court.
Absolutely. For everyone. For everyone. Well, let's talk more about Abby
Before.
here.
They had it before
as you said,
true crime
no
lullabies.
blood found on Abby's hands or arms means she was likely bound, unconscious, or restrained when the neck injury, this throat being slashed, was inflicted.
So they're saying, I said unconscious. So they're saying that too, because there was no blood on her hands. So I've been saying this whole time, like, I think that she was unconscious. Well, ever since we found out there's no blood on her hands. Oh, sorry. I didn't mean to hit the mic, but, ever since then, I've been saying that I think that she was unconscious because she would have reached for her throat.
Abby was found with her arms raised vertically. Her final position is almost like she was boxing. He described Abby's position as very unusual, stating, "I've never seen it." Abby would have died right away. Abby wouldn't have died right away. This would have taken some time.
Wasn't one of her legs straight and the other one bent? That's how I sleep. Like, I don't know if you can see, you probably can't see my legs, but I could stand up. But, you know, one is straight, one is bent. We had the pictures. Right here. Wow, I can't believe I found it that fast. See Abby's leg. And then her hands are up like in a member, so like a boxing. But they said they never found the sticks like above her head or any of that stuff. So they never did find that.
Dr. Dupree, what are your thoughts about the position of the hands? Final position, almost like she was boxing. What does that tell you?
I think that is a very unusual position. I do think that she probably was restrained at some point based on those findings. I think that's very unusual, that position.
How would you restrain someone like that, though?
Some more information. The Major Patrick Cicero also couldn't rule out that Abby's hands being washed.
Yeah, I thought about that too.
Agreed that Abby could have been held down by a person or person when she was cut. In anything you received, does it link Richard Allen to the murders? And Cicero answered no. So, Bob, putting some of the significance on that part of the testimony and the description here, what are your thoughts?
I don't think they were washed. I think he personally wouldn't wash them. You know what I mean? You'd have to drag her or bring creek water over there. And I think that they would find something that would tell that, like whether it's, I don't know.
Is the defense,
like whether it's a leaf or like something like that, they would, because I know they probably tested everything like around. That's what botanists do, I guess.
Perhaps
They
saying
would
there
say
was
that
a
was from the
second
creek, you know?
person there?
If there was like a leaf or
Yeah,
something.
I mean, that's always been their theory. They've always had the theory that there was potentially multiple suspects that were there. And Cicero went so far as he basically had to capitulate that with the wounds to Libby's neck, which were anywhere what he estimated between 3 and 5, he said that 2 of the wounds to him appeared to be potentially what they call a double swipe, meaning the killer had cut twice within the same wound, which he would consider to be 5 wounds. And in his estimation, on cross-examination, he was posed with the question, could multiple people have stabbed her? And he had to answer, I can't rule it out. So that's always been the theory of the defense, that this was more than one. I mean, frankly, it was a thought of law enforcement early on in this investigation. So, you know, and there was one interesting thing that wasn't in the notes. Major Cicero had said that he had found very faint, what he described as could be potential ligature marks, kind of like right under Abby's mouth, and then another one that ran parallel right under her neck. So it didn't look like to be a face covering or something that was trying to stifle her mouth from being able to make noise. And he really didn't have an opinion of what it could be. I mean, he said it could have been duct tape, but he didn't see any residue from the tape anywhere on her. So it's really one of those cases where it's a mystery in terms of just kind of what they had to work with at the scene, what may have happened. And we're still trying to put the pieces together, and we're basically getting close to the state's case being done.
Let me ask you, Dr. Dupree, your thoughts about one person versus 2 people to commit these murders of 2 young girls.
Well, definitely, it could have been 2 people. If it was only one person, usually they will take out the strongest person first to sort of get rid of that challenge to them. But 2 people could certainly be 2 people as well. And I've also seen where a person is bound with their own clothing. Maybe the shirt is wrapped around their neck or their chin to hold them down. So it could have been something like that.
Yeah. Bob and there was a bandana found in the creek, wasn't there?
There was. Now, they didn't find any kind of DNA that they could match with anybody on that. And frankly, I think that ultimately the lab tech's conclusion was she thought that might not have even been related to the crime, that particular bandana. So that was what she testified to. But yeah, it was found it was in the creek, kind of in the bigger pile of the girl's clothing that was found in the creek. That was found in the same area. But she just thought that the aging of it seemed like it might not be a fit. But I mean, she's having to guess, you know.
All right. Big thank you, Dr. Michelle Dupree. Great to see.
Well, if the aging of it, like, let's say it was let's say it was red and it was like looked pink because of the sun being on it for so long. They could say, hey, that was probably back there before last summer and this is February. It wouldn't have caused that to happen now. I don't know. I'm just saying. But I never heard of the bandana.
See you. Still to come. What do we know about Richard Allen's wife?
Ooh, what do we know about her? Not a lot.
The question to you: what will those closest to you think of when they find out that you brutally murdered 2 little girls?
No man is born evil.
So you chose bad. On the next Interview with a Killer, you created the plan.
A little bit here.
To the killer who may be in this room, we believe you are hiding in plain sight. For more than 2 years, you never thought we would shift gears to a different investigative strategy, but we have. We likely have interviewed you or someone close to you. We know that this is about power to you. And you want to know what we know. And one day, you will. A question to you: what will those closest to you think of when they find out that you brutally murdered 2 little girls? 2 children. Only a coward would do such a thing.
Richard Allen, if you believe he's the killer, was in fact hiding in plain sight. He was working at CVS in town, didn't go anywhere. But it wasn't hiding necessarily. I mean, he did call the tip line and say, hey, I was there. A couple days afterwards, it was investigators who kind of lost track of the leads in this case and then found it going backwards. One of the volunteers did.
I don't know why he said, hey, like called him up a couple days later. It's almost like, I don't know, it's weird. You know, like, hey, remember me? I was there. I was over there. Just wanted to remind you. See you later. Bye. See you in 5 years.
But there you heard
And thank you, Mary Beth. Thank you.
the sheriff also talking about those closest to you. And he's married. He has a wife. He has a child. Richard Allen is, in fact, married. And now I think we have a picture of Richard Allen and his wife, Kathy. There they are. Obviously in much different times.
Yeah.
There she is again. So this brings me to my next question.
Well, he looks happy.
Which, you know, this is always a difficult spot for family members, but what do we know about Richard Allen's wife in all of this? You know, Richard Allen wasn't a loner. No, it's a guy with a family. Still with us for more analysis, criminal defense attorney, host of Defense Diaries podcast, Bob Monon. Bob, is she going to the courtroom? Is she visible through all of this?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. She's sitting in the second row. I happen to sit right next to her typically, or close to her. Yeah, she's there every day, along with Richard's mother, Jan, and his stepfather, Ken. They've been there every day.
So
he's sitting by the wife.
Does she speak to anyone, or does she, you know, publicly, whether a reporter is going to come up to her or a podcaster or someone, or is she kind of keeping to herself?
She's kind of keeping to herself. You know, you have to understand that they lived in this town, and when this happened, you know, she was ostracized and run out of town. I mean, it broke her heart. I mean, her life was shattered as well. I mean, these cases destroy everybody involved. You know, it's the victims' families are destroyed. Kathy is destroyed. You know, and it's like, and she is sitting in the same.
Well, you can't say that she's destroyed because you just said she doesn't talk to anybody.
Same place as everybody else, kind of hearing the evidence for the first time. You know,
she does seem like a very nice lady.
The victims' families aren't kept abreast of what the evidence is. They're hearing all of it for the first time. Kathy Allen's hearing it all for the first time. She's always believed in her husband's innocence. She still does. But, you know, she's sitting there and taking it all in as it's coming in. And, you know, I have a great deal of empathy for her, and I find her to be an incredibly kind person. And I feel really, really bad for everybody in that courtroom that
I hope people aren't feeding her head full of stuff, though. Do you know what I mean? I hope that people that are just saying, you know, that Richard Allen's innocent because it brings in numbers, blah, blah, blah. I hope they're not saying that kind of stuff to her just to get a reaction or get a response or get a quote from her or whatever it is. I hope people are treating her kindly because she didn't do any of this. As far as we know, she had nothing to do with this. As far as we know.
had suffered from this brutal crimes. You know, it's brutal. It really is. It's terrible.
Now, during the interrogation of Richard Allen, during the interview, Jerry Holman brings in Kathy, Richard Allen's wife. And apparently Kathy and Richard hug. Richard tells Kathy he's innocent. Kathy leaves the room. The interrogation continues. And that's when Richard Allen loses his temper. You want to bleep with me, but leave my wife out of this. Is she having any interaction in court with Richard Allen or any of the defense attorneys?
Oh, yeah. I mean, Richard Allen's looking at her all day, all the time. Every opportunity he has, he looks back at her and, you know, they're making eye contact, and you know, she has discussions with the attorneys pretty frequently. She's on the list. She's going to be called during the defense's case in chief. That's for certain. She's going to be testifying. I was happy to see that she was allowed, frankly, that all of the family members from both the girls and from Rick Allen's perspective were able to sit in and be a part of the trial and watch it, because they all deserve to be in there to see what's going on with this case. And yeah, she's just been there, you know. She's been going through it all. She's been going through the emotions of it, you know.
The town of Delphi deserves to know what's going on with this case, and they can't even fit the town of Delphi in the courtroom. I hate that this is not being on televised.
It's upset, obviously, many times, depending on what the subject matter is. There's just a lot that's upsetting about this trial.
And was it her suggestion that Richard Allen, her husband, call the tip line? Because he is a couple of days later, he calls and says, I was there. Like, did he have do we know if he had a discussion with her about being there? Did he say and tell her? Is any of that coming out in court?
Yeah, that all came out. So yeah, he let her know that day that he had been out to the trails and the bridge. There's some, like, it came out during.
My question is, I have one question. I have one really serious question, and it is, was Richard Allen known to go to these trails? Was this something that he's done frequently? Or was this his first time? Kind of like a Brian Koberger and the the Wally Wah Wah, whatever it is, park that he wants to say he was at. Was it the first time, or did he go there frequently? Because to me, and this is just me, I don't see a 40-some-year-old married man walking the trails, you know, between 1 and 3 on a weekday afternoon. It's just, I don't see it. My mom would be like, if that was my dad, she'd be like, your ass better be at work or, at home. I don't know.
In the interview, when they brought Kathy in, and what they had done is they had been working Kathy, they being law enforcement, had been working Kathy in the other room. So they had told her, this is what we've got against your husband. So when they brought her into the room, they were using her as a tool, kind of the last ditch effort to try to get him to confess. And she's, coming in, they're saying that we have there's a match to the gun, that your bullet, how was it there? I don't understand. And he's like saying, I can't explain something
that is true.
Impossible. I don't know. And then, she had a portion of that interview where she's saying, well, you told me you were at the trails. I don't know. I don't remember you telling me you went to the bridge. And he's like, I told you I was at the bridge. But if you back it up to what your original question was, yeah, she had that conversation that he was out there that day. So when they put it out there, they wanted everybody that was out there to come forward and give a statement, just to say, hey, this is what we saw. This is what I observed. This is when I was out there. She said, you got to go do it. They went,
But he had already done it the day he was out there. He talked to someone or something. So why would they need to go 2 days later and check again?
Called the sheriff's department, or they went. I can't remember if it was they called or they physically went to the sheriff's department. They took his information. He then gets a call from Dan Doolin, who's the DNR officer who ended up taking his statement. Oh, and he was already out, like shopping, like he was near this market. The state had tried to portray it as if he had said, no, I don't want you coming to my house. No, I'm not going to come to the police station, but I'll meet you out somewhere. When it came out we got more information during the state's, own case, that he was already out driving about. At least that was his story. And that he had said, look, I'll meet you at this market. I'm right here. So yeah, it's a wild one, Vinny.
It is.
Wish you were here, buddy.
Well, we'll see. Bob Mata, thank you so much. Family members of killers and accused killers many times have nothing to do with the crime. Their only offense is being related to a felon. Now, for the wife of Richard Allen, she's kind of in a tough spot here. Her husband is public enemy number one in the biggest case ever in this small community. And I think it's understandable that you would never want to believe that the love of your life is a psychotic killer. So I think in cases like this, I like to reserve my judgment on the family, because if they truly knew nothing and he's guilty, they're also on a much lesser level victims in some respect.
Yeah. If someone accused Vincent of something like that, I would say absolutely not. I mean, you know, but I mean, that's just because he would absolutely not do that. But I'm saying, like, if someone came up and or if the cops busted in through our door and was like, we're taking them in, I don't know what I would do, actually. I'd probably try to beat the crap out of him while, he was walking out, because I wouldn't know, I would beat his ass and then ask what he did later. But I think that I would, I don't know. I would be like, no, he didn't do that. But then again, I mean, he's on the couch right now, and that's where he always is if he's not at work. I know where he is. But I would I would ask him some questions. I would get questions. I would have questions and I would get answers, and I would not care if it was on an open jail line. Because if you did this, let them hear you. They need to hear you. I'm not trying to protect you and save you from unaliving 2 teenage girls. That's what it comes down to. These are 2 teenage girls that were unalived. Kathy should have asked more questions of Richard. She shouldn't have said, no, don't say anything. Don't talk about it. Don't talk about it. Right there lets me know. It does let me kind of know that Kathy wasn't believing him. Because if she was believing him, she would have let him keep going. I mean, why would she say, shut up and don't be talking about it? Don't talk about it. I don't know. But I do think that the prosecution did a messy job in this case. I think that sucks. And I think that he might get, if he is the person that did this, he might get off with just because of the state sloppiness. Now, I would like to know where Doug Carter is. Come out of retirement, say a couple words to us. I feel like we've seen so many different police in this investigation. It's hard to find someone that you trust. And then you have so many different people that are there in Delphi right now, that are content creators that are in there, but they're all kind of telling the story a little different, or they're leaving some parts out. Like I tried to watch like 2 different people today that was like on both sides of the fence, and I was like, wait, like what? They didn't tell us about this, and I don't know. It's just weird. It's hard, just like with news though, we have to put our trust in the news. Like that sucks sometimes because, the news sucks. The news just sucks. I didn't see anything new on, what the heck is this? A lithium battery plant triggering massive explosion. Wow. I was just seeing if there was anything on. What is this? Oh my gosh. I don't see anything. There's just so much stuff on my timeline about the election. What's this? Oh, Joseph, Scott Morgan did like a podcast or something over Liam, or what's his name? Liam Payne. What is this? It says Cheryl McCollum said Richard Allen in his confession about getting spooked by the white van just gave us the reason why there's no DNA. Now I know that our girl, Miss Nancy Grace, was supposed to be there, boots on the ground, because I didn't see anything today. Like I didn't see that she had a podcast tonight. She had a different podcast. Yeah, it was Diddy. I was going to go over it, but then I was like, well, let's do Delphi, We'll go over Diddy tomorrow. Because there's new charges. More new charges for Diddy, Oh, look at me. I'm all the way over here. There we go. That little guy is like, he's been pretty entertaining. I mean, he can dance way better than me. I'm talking about the skeleton. I can't wait until I don't see election crap. I know there's a lot. They keep sending me things like, have you voted? Have you voted? Have you voted? Have you voted? I'm like, well, I can't vote everywhere you go to vote. The polls are messed up. The ballots are messed up. He is doing his thing, isn't he? I might have to keep him around after Halloween. He's just dancing away. I really could look at this probably for the next 2 hours. I'm very easily amused. Very easily amused. I have a question. So I have pumpkins and I use them like for like my fall decoration, right? You don't have to put pumpkins away after Halloween, do you? Or is that like a thing that you do? Because none of my pumpkins are orange. I know that's weird. Except for my real pumpkin, which I have to carve. Because I don't want to pack them away. Okay, good. Because I was like, man, I like these little ones. They're just like, they're like white, like all of my stuff's like beige or white. Pumpkins are fall, me too. Okay, that's what I thought, Dan. I thought pumpkins are fall. Okay, good. Vincent's mom sends us pumpkins every year and they're like green and they're weird looking. They don't even look like a pumpkin. Like when he handed it to me, I was like, what is, like the first time I was like, what is this? Pumpkins in California. I never would have thought. I don't know. I don't know why, but I never would have thought. But she sends them, and ours, I was using them as decoration. Like, because we have a picture of Vincent's father in our kitchen, and I put the two pumpkins like right there because one was like larger than the other one. And then today I noticed that they were molded on the bottom. And I wipe my counters every single day. I just didn't look over, you know what I mean? Like look at the bottom until yesterday. And I was like, oh, Southernish, I'm so glad you like the candles. They are amazing, aren't they? They are literally, they smell so good. Every scent does. Every scent. There's not one that doesn't smell good. I like the Christmas ones a lot. The Christmas cottage ones, like the smaller ones. I like them all. I had to stop burning them because I was like, I'm not gonna have any to sell. I really like burning them myself. I had one sitting over here for the longest time. I have a couple. I have a pumpkin back there. That's a candle, but you can't really tell. Yeah, pumpkins are for like Thanksgiving. Yeah. Well, like there's a lot of like Thanksgiving stuff, like 50% off today when I was at Target. So I got like some hand towels for like $2.50. I was like, these would be cute. And I'm gonna put them out tomorrow. I got these little dollar, they cost $1. They're a salt and pepper shaker. They are little turkeys, and my mom got them. They were hers. And I don't have anything of my mom's really. So those little turkeys, every year I put them out. I don't use them, but I just put them out. I think one of the things is gone. The plug, maybe. I think it might be. But I don't know. Hoodies? I don't know. I'd like to get some merch for my channel. That would be nice. I'll have to talk to Vincent about that. Because I could even like do it myself like the designs I want are simple. But I want them to be sewn in. Do you know what I mean? Like not pasted on. We ain't pasting on stuff over here. We're sewing stuff in. Well, Faith, I do run my sizes up to a 4X, 4X. I know I do need some for the channel. I thought doing some with like a little titanium arm, just something simple, but like cute and good quality. I like, That's the one good thing. That's the one good thing. If there's nothing else that's good about me, quality of my stuff will be so soft and so nice and so just soft because I cannot do. I have sensory issues, so you guys you'll be in luck. You buy some merch, Linda. I'll let Vincent know that people are asking for it because we talked about it. Like embroidered, like embroidered shirts, yeah. And I can actually get them from like different companies. You can give them. I just have to look into that. I'm actually been looking for my EIN number. Actually, to be honest with you guys, that's my business number, so I can buy everything. I have all of my files from like the last 2 years, all perfectly perfect, but I can't find the one paper with that stupid number on it. And I guess I only put it in one spot. So I tried to call the IRS today, and they said they were too busy for my phone call, and then hung up on me. And I was like, well, shoot. So I'm gonna try to call them again tomorrow. If not, I'll figure it out. I'll get on there and figure it out. Yeah. So we watched it actually last night. Where we listened to it last night, the podcast that that she did do. The one, it was Delphi Murder Suspect Confession to Shrink Reveals Details Only Killer Knew. Yeah, we played that one last night, I think it was. Oh, my tax return. That's a good idea, Southernish. I didn't even think about that. I'll do that. I don't know why I didn't think about that. You want a water bottle? Yeah, I have to see about getting some merch. I'm going to get some clothes. I just need, I'm going to find that EIN number. I don't know how I even misplaced it. Like, I think it's because I just haven't bought anything for a while. And we move so much. I move so much stuff. It's me. It's me. Okay, well, I could probably do some stuff for you guys. Oh, your dad's a CPA. Well, I might need to use your dad. Well, doing my own taxes all myself. I did them by myself last year. Oh my! Don't do them by yourself. Don't do I mean, if you own a business and then you own another, like I'm considered a business. You know, like a self business, I guess. And I had to do something like I forget it was like a 10 or 9. I don't even know what it was. What the form was. It was different than my business form. And I was like, oh my gosh, when I remember the times of just, putting in, it was just easy. It was so much easier. Oh, wow. I didn't know that, Amanda. Yeah. Of course. I would love that. Yeah. I just need someone to do my taxes for me for real though. I about ripped my hair out. Because I used to just have like a W-2 or whatever, and you just punch into little things, because I was a server, so I just put my tips in, my wage or whatever, and it was all easy. And now it's like, oh, you got to know exactly what you spent, and like I kept all my receipts and everything for like the first 2 years. I still have them, but I mean for like when we first opened the business and got everything, and but yeah, it's different running a business and doing YouTube. Now, last month, you all kept me so busy. You guys can continue to do that. I loved that. I was so busy with both things, and it was just like exciting because it got me like back into wanting to sell clothes, buy clothes, all of it. Like I even went into a boutique the other night, and I don't go into this boutique because I used to work there, and they had the cutest. It was like a dress, and it had pockets on it, and it had like this tie, and it was like a linen, and it was beige. I love beige. You don't see me you don't really see me in a whole lot of beige, but I love beige. So, hey, Sunday Doodles. Your chat wasn't working? Oh no. Well, I hope you guys all have a good night. Oh, really? You're good at math? I'm terrible at math. I'm not kidding. Like I'm very intelligent girl. But when you start talking numbers, my brain is not computing. Now, Vincent, on the other hand, you can ask him a problem, solve a problem, any problem, and he'll like just give him a couple seconds and he'll figure it out in his head. Me, not so much. But thank you guys for being here tonight. Thanks for being here for the skeleton. He's pretty cool. I'm gonna have to think of something else to put there now because it's entertaining. But thank you guys all for being here. I do appreciate it. I will see you guys tomorrow. I might be on the live during the day because I do have a doctor's appointment early in the morning. So I might just be up for the day, just up doing things. So maybe I'll come on the second channel or I'll come on this channel. But have a wonderful day. Don't forget to subscribe to my other channel, Unfiltered with Tanya. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel over here and hit the like button and all the buttons. Thank you guys so much. I'll see you guys all tomorrow night.